Newcastle United escaped second transfer bombshell after Manchester City interest. Newcastle United were the subject of an inquiry from Manchester City for Bruno Guimarães this summer. But the conversation was quickly ended with the Brazilian happy on Tyneside Newcastle United rebuffed an approach from Manchester City this summer for Bruno Guimarães. But the discussion was quickly dismissed and a prolonged transfer saga was prevented. The inquiry, understood to have originated from intermediaries within the agent network, emerged in early June during the temporary FIFA transfer window prior to the FIFA Club World Cup. However, Newcastle rejected the interest with Bruno content on Tyneside and willing to discuss future contract talks down the road. Unlike the Alexander Isak scenario, when the Sweden striker declined to feature and set his sights on Liverpool at the first hint of genuine interest, Bruno declared his allegiance to Newcastle and informed those close to him he was dedicated for the 2025/26 campaign ahead. Manchester City immediately switched their attention to AC Milan midfielder Tijjani Reinders and completed a swift deal for £46.5 million in time for the Dutchman to feature at the FIFA Club World Cup, reports Chronicle Live. What was observed internally was that Bruno's focus remained unwavering, with Isak essentially refusing to play to engineer his departure. The South American has 3 years remaining, and a fresh contract could be on the horizon for the ambitious former Lion star. Discussing his future, Bruno told Chronicle Live last week he is completely concentrated on Newcastle and said, "I have never changed my mind, and I still look to make history at this club. We have been in the Champions League 2 times in the last 3 years. That is unbelievable for us. We have to keep that going. There is a big job for us to do here, and I want to be part of this team." Meanwhile, Newcastle goalkeeper Odysseas Vlachodimos has broken his silence after St James's Park exit in the summer. The 31-year-old keeper joined Sevilla on loan at the close of the transfer window, following a patient summer-long wait for his departure. Eddie Howe chose not to field the £20 million acquisition from Nottingham Forest during pre-season, whilst the Greek stopper remained on the verge of a switch. Despite featuring for just half a match at Newcastle, he has already turned out twice in La Liga. Vlachodimos, who might yet return to United given there's no obligation attached to his loan arrangement, barely mentioned his stint on Tyneside during his maiden Sevilla interview. He said, "I'm happy to be here. It was like a roller coaster ride. I couldn't wait to come. And finally, we made it. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to meeting my teammates, staff, and coaching staff. I can't wait to get started. I feel good, and also, as I said, I want to play. I'm hungry to play and I can't wait, really. I can't." Pep Guardiola makes Manchester City admission after another huge injury blow. Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola is trying to protect his squad after a grueling week for the Blues. Pep Guardiola admitted that Manchester City may not have the strength to challenge on all fronts as they head to Huddersfield to start their Carabao Cup campaign. The League Cup was the first trophy that Guardiola won in English football and started a remarkable era of success in the game that the Blues are adamant is not over yet. They went on to win the competition for 4 years in a row, carrying out the manager's mantra that every game matters. City's last success was 2021 though, with early exits in the last 4 years. Last season's defeat to Tottenham came at the start of an injury crisis that ruined their chances of success in every competition. And Guardiola is not prepared to risk Premier League or Champions League hopes this season with injuries in the League Cup. Ryan Ait-Nouri, Ryan Cherki, Omar Marmoush and Mateo Kovacic are all sidelined, and at the end of 3 exhausting games in a week, Erling Haaland needs a rest, and Abdulkadir Kusanov injured himself. Kusanov is not expected to play again until after the October international break, in another blow to City. It was a really tough week in terms of being physically demanding, Guardiola said. Emotionally, we came from 2 defeats. The last game was really tough with recovery, coming back from London late. Today the players are so tired, and tomorrow we have a game against a League One team away. My only concern is rest energy for the players. Divine Mukasa and Stephen Mfuni will come for sure, and after we will see if they play from the beginning or during the game. It is an incredible competition in the beginning, and for the guys who didn't play in the first games to get rhythm and play. But when we have injuries like we have now, I will not spend too much energy for this competition, because the priority is the Premier League. In these circumstances, it is the Premier League and the Champions League. Manchester City held youngster back. Now he is ready to be unleashed by Pep Guardiola. Manchester City will make a number of changes to their team for Huddersfield, and Divine Mukasa could be one of the main beneficiaries. Pep Guardiola had too big a squad for too long. The influx of January signings worked to stabilise the team amid their injury crisis, but as more players returned, it made for some uncomfortable decisions for match days. The Manchester City boss believes that a smaller group is needed for competitiveness and trust, with anyone who feels like they aren't a valued member of the group, with the chance to play every week losing motivation and failing to push their teammates as a result. Having won what he has won, there is plenty of evidence to back up the theory. It meant, though, that when City signed another 4 players at the beginning of the summer window, Guardiola made the call not to include any youngsters in his squad for the Club World Cup. The summer is usually the best opportunity for academy players to get themselves in front of the manager, but this time there was no chance. Except for the only friendly of pre-season, where despite a squad that still needed cutting, Guardiola opted to include Divine Mukasa, a young forward a few weeks shy of his 18th birthday at the time. Mukasa came on in the second half against Palermo and impressed, including some nice link-up play for a Tijani Reinders goal. Guardiola was happy enough that when he encountered more first-team injuries at the beginning of the season, Phil Foden, Ryan Cherki and Savinho were all absent. He called up Mukasa as well as Ryan McAdoo and Ryan Heskey to train with the team. Mukasa has been on the bench for the last 3 games, against United, Napoli and Arsenal, and will make his senior debut at Huddersfield. That Mukasa has been spotted is a nod to, among other things, his flair and ability to take risks for goals. City crashed out of the UEFA Youth League quarter-finals to a last-minute winner after Mukasa had tried to be too clever from the penalty spot. Yet in the previous round he had got them through with a Panenka from the spot that hit the bar and bounced down over the line. He was prolific with goals and assists for the under-18s last season, attracting scouts to games and clubs to City's door in summer, wanting to take him on loan. Rejected parties were told that he was wanted close to the first team. That fast-tracking is only a result of a delay, though. Having arrived into the under-18s from West Ham in 2023, Mukasa was actually kept back a year rather than pushed up to the under-20s like most of his age group in order to build his rhythm and confidence up. The first 6 months were tough, especially with City playing such a different way and the high standards from the club, he told the Manchester Evening News in April. It wasn't just me getting used to the club. It was the staff getting used to me, what my attributes are, trying to help me optimise them. It was a little bit tough. Getting used to the system and adjusting it a little bit has helped as well. It was that sense of freedom that I had at my previous club. I didn't get it at first, but that's natural. The coaches are used to having a set structure, so I can't just come in and change that. It took some getting used to. I did the job that was expected of me, staying down. I was expected to dominate a bit more this season, help lead the team. I think I've done that. It's been a good season. For my own confidence and relationship I've built with the managers, playing all the time has helped me a lot. Mukasa's time with the under-21s this season has already been affected by his involvement with the first team. But as he prepares to play for Guardiola at Huddersfield, staying behind has parachuted the teenager to the front of the manager's door, knocking for opportunities. Pep Guardiola press conference live Manchester City injury latest, and Erling Haaland update of Carabao Cup tie Manchester City news, as Pep Guardiola previews the Carabao Cup tie against Huddersfield Town and reflects further on dramatic Premier League draw with Arsenal-Manchester City kick off their Carabao Cup campaign on Wednesday night with a trip to League One side Huddersfield Town. The Blues were serial winners of this competition early in Pep Guardiola's tenure, but have not lifted the trophy since beating Tottenham in 2021, their 4th successive success in the Carabao Cup. City will be huge favourites to overcome a Huddersfield side who are 5th in the 3rd tier, even if Guardiola will likely heavily rotate his side. The Etihad chief picked the same 11 for 3 successive games last week, and Wednesday's trip to Yorkshire offers the chance for several fringe players to be given a run out. Guardiola will provide the latest team news and an injury update, as well as further reflecting on that dramatic 1-1 Premier League draw with Arsenal on Sunday. He is due to face the media at 12:30 p.m, and we will have all the updates right here in the blog, so stay with us. Pep Guardiola wore a smile rather than a Jose Mourinho mask as he walked into his press conference a few days after the Arsenal game. Unashamed to talk up the defensive approach that has got people making comparisons since Sunday, Guardiola was unafraid to talk up the point they got, as well as he saw more positive signs from the performance that the players are doing what they used to do when they were winning titles, rather than last season when it all came apart. Their hopes of another Carabao Cup triumph are not as high as they might have been though, because of the injury problems that have built up again at the Etihad. A bruising week that featured Napoli, United and Arsenal, including less than 3 days to recover and prepare for the latter, does not leave many fresh for Wednesday, and Guardiola confirmed that there will be academy players involved. Pep Guardiola said that Abdulkadir Kusanov is already looking like a prime Kyle Walker, as he raved about the defender's start to the season. The January signing has started the last 3 games at right back and is now seen as a credible option in the position. City did not buy a right-back in the summer transfer window, despite the wishes of many fans. Ryan Ait-Nouri arrived at left-back in a market where the Blues spent £175 million, but new sporting director Hugo Viana did not look to strengthen the other flank. That decision